Welcome to another episode of the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing. This week, the Secretary of Tourism, Culture and Transportation, Nadine Stewart Phillips, addresses the media.
I would like to begin my presentation by expressing that the Executive Council of the Tobago House of Assembly joins with the rest of the world in extending our deepest sympathy to our neighbors in the Northern Caribbean who have suffered devastations at the hands of first Hurricane Irma just a few days ago and now Hurricane Maria, which dealt a severe blow to Dominica and still remains a threat to other islands. The destruction faced by these islands, ladies and gentlemen, and the loss felt by their residents is more than we can comprehend. In Tobago, we consider this situation as frightening. As a very small destination, we too are very much vulnerable to these climatic changes and disasters. The Tobago House of Assembly will continue to spearhead relief efforts through TEMA to those who have been affected by this situation. We continue to keep our Caribbean brothers and sisters in our prayers as they come to terms with this tragedy, even as they work together to rebuild their country and communities. I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate a call for those who are able to support the Tobago Emergency Management Agency's efforts to donate emergency relief supplies. Your support can come in the form of non-perishable food items, new clothing, as well as financial aid. And TEMA will be open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to collect all donations. I am very mindful, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, that a devastation like this could and would impact tremendously on the tourism industry in the Caribbean. And I wish to indicate that Tobago stands ready to do business with those who are now looking for an alternative destination. However, we must understand that tourism is not an industry where things happen overnight. Some visitors are looking for specific experiences, hence the reason they would have chosen those islands in the first instance. For example, Anguilla attracts high-end clients looking for five-star accommodation. We do not have that present in Tobago. Tortola, for example, they attract persons from the marine sector, persons interested in softball, etc. That is not offered. That is not a part of our product offering here in Tobago. However, we would continue to work with our tour operators and our stakeholders with the view to ensure that tourism remains alive in the region as we strive to make access to Tobago easier through discussions with international airlines and cruises. I move now to Republic Day Celebrations 2017. The Division of Tourism, Culture and Transportation, in collaboration with the Office of the Chief Secretary, will host the annual Republic Day Cultural Extravaganza and fireworks on Sunday, 24th September at the Sid Gray Sporting Complex in Roxborough. The celebration this year will take place under the theme Moving Together, One Voice, One People. And it starts at 6:30 p.m. with a cultural concert followed by a fireworks display at 8:30 p.m. The Tobago House of Assembly has once again partnered with the organizers of the Tobago International Cycling Classic, scheduled for Wednesday, 27th September to Sunday, 1st, 2017. The division sees it fit to continue to support this event that attracts hundreds of visitors to Tobago shores each year, including an estimation of 300 cyclists from nations such as Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, Barbados, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic coming to our shores. As one of the island's major sporting events, TICC is aligned with the Assembly's thrust to position and promote Tobago as a viable sports tourism destination, and the division is pleased to be a part of this initiative once again. The 5-day racing event takes place at different locations across the island, including the Shervan Road Circuit, Plymouth Village Circuit, and Scarborough Circuit. The event culminates with one of the largest Union Cyclists International accredited races in the region, the Tour of Tobago. We are asking motor traffic and pedestrians to be aware of the various race stages around the island during this period, but also to come out and support this initiative. World Tourism Day will be recognized around the world on Wednesday, 27th, 2017. For us at the newly reconfigured Division of Tourism, Culture and Transportation, our commemoration of World Tourism Day 2017 will focus on Tobago's rich culture. And this is in keeping with the fact that the Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization, in his official message on World Tourism Day, highlighted culture as one of the 5 key pillars to advance sustainable development. This approach also reinforces the messages articulated in our recently concluded Heritage Festival, Bring Back the Old Time Days, Lend Hand. As we continue our efforts to develop tourism in a sustainable manner, we will do so using our culture as a key tool. As we say in Tobago, charity begins at home. So activities on World Tourism Day, Wednesday 27th September 2017, will include the following: free access to members of the public to the museum at Fort King George. There will be a series of tours from Wednesday 27th to Friday 29th September 2017. There will also be a cultural showcase at our head office at specific times during the day in Sangsters Hill on Wednesday, 27th September 2017. On the 30th of September, there will be a launch of a theatrical reenactment at Fort King George, and this is in an effort to enhance the visitor experience at Fort King George. The division is launching a series of presentations aimed at highlighting significant historical relics found at the fort, such as the military cemetery and the powder magazine and the prisoner's bell tank. The interactive theater presentations will commence on September 30th. This will also target and falls in line with our cruise ship season, commencing in November 2017. However, of course, this is open to all members of the public and other visitors to the island. A schedule of all reenactments planned for the remainder of 2017 and into 2018 will be made available by the Department of Culture. The Tobago Blue Food Festival will be held on Sunday, 15th October at the Bloody Bay Recreational Grounds from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Coordinated in collaboration with the village councils of Bloody Bay, Lansfomé, and Palotvier, the Blue Food Festival has grown from an event with 100 patrons in 1998 to over 9,000 in 2016, and it has been named as one of the world's best festivals by CNN. The division continues to develop the event as a means of showcasing and preserving Tobago's culinary heritage, as well as stimulating economic activity within the respective communities. This year, the event features several mainstay elements, such as the food zone and Blue Food Cooks competition. But we will also be adding new features to enrich the experience, including a farmer's market and the art and craft zone. As it relates to the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, the board that was set up in July has been working behind the scenes to ensure that the agency becomes fully operational. The board of directors, they have communicated with stakeholders having them identify their concerns as it relates to the tourism industry in Tobago, with the intention to develop a roadmap in consultation and collaboration with stakeholders to address these concerns going forward. The board is currently in the process of staffing the agency, and the first step will be the recruitment of a chief executive officer, which will be followed by the agency being fully staffed. During the new financial year, operations are expected to kick off, as this agency will have full responsibility for marketing and product development. You will remember, ladies and gentlemen, that I sat in this exact position sometime back in May, informing you all that the Executive Council approved the establishment of a task force to evaluate the Tobago Jazz Experience. Now, the Tobago Jazz Experience Task Force has submitted a preliminary report for review, with the overarching recommendation that the festival should be maintained and continued as the destination's flagship event, but with notable changes in the way the festival is structured, the way the festival is managed, the way the festival is marketed, as well as in the event's overall business model. The Tobago Jazz Experience is an event marketing tool which was designed to create a unique tourism experience which would sell Destination Tobago. Based on the recommendations put forward, there will be a focus on a 2-year development where we would refashion in 2018 and deepen in 2019 and beyond. The intention is to embrace a partnership model where key players will be called to the table, fringe sponsors, business and stakeholder entities, including Caribbean Airlines, etc., to ensure they are all a part of the discussions and implementation. Chairman of the task force, Dr. Nurse, along with his team, presented their recommendations based on research done in a variety of areas, including the estimated arrivals to the island during the period 2014 to 2017, the countries of origin of the festival's audience, and the analysis of festival expenditures from artist fees to infrastructure costs to marketing budgets, etc. And so that being said, the proposed way forward for the Tobago Jazz Experience include stabilizing the management of the festival by moving it from an ad hoc committee to under the umbrella of the Tobago Festivals Commission, which will be restructured to accommodate this, including the appointment of a festivals director. Establishing an 18-month financial business model that allows for marketing efforts to begin at least 12 months in advance of the festival. Taking a more strategic approach to the selection and marketing of headline acts, amongst other things. So as I said, I just wanted to provide an update because I know we are almost to the end of September, and we did give the task force up to September to report, and they would have submitted a preliminary report, and the Executive Council will be reviewing a full report from the task force over the next 2 weeks with a view to putting things in place so plans can get underway for Tobago Jazz Experience 2018 and 2019. And of course, I know the question will arise, so I might as well address it as it relates to payment from this 2017 Tobago Jazz Experience. Unfortunately, all service providers have not been paid. However, the situation has improved. A number of persons were paid, and this is attributed to a number of factors, including persons not having service contracts, inaccuracies in the submission of invoices, and then we had to ask persons to resubmit again and again. But in going forward with the implementation of the procurement unit in the Tobago House of Assembly. This will help to address all these issues surrounding service providers, ensuring that they have submitted the necessary requirements to provide a service. All the necessary contracts are in place, which will hold each party accountable for service delivery and timely payments.
What specifically is happening right now in terms of Tobago's marketing efforts to instantly bring visitors to Tobago in light of the disaster happening to our Caribbean brothers and sisters?
I wish the tourism industry was like that, where you can bring visitors instantly. As I mentioned earlier, Liz and all other members of the media, the necessary research must be done. We at the division, we have been in contact with our tour operators and our promotional analysts, and they have been indicating to us that a lot of persons, they are looking for a specific product offering, which we do not have here in Tobago. What I can say though, what is beneficial to us is in terms of the cruise. Our cruise consultant did get some positive responses, and I don't want to preempt anything, but we may actually see one of the largest ships ever to come to the port based on our specifications at the port in December. And so I want persons to understand and not to think that because of devastation, persons will just immediately come to Tobago. We can just market Tobago. The research has to be done. We have to ensure that Tobago has what these persons are looking for, and our product offering in some instances doesn't match. However, we will continue to speak with our tour operators. We will continue to speak with our promotional analysts, and if it means that we have to now go into new source markets, then we will do such.
The reason why I ask is because I know the Prime Minister at the GSC, he would have also expressed his disappointment that Tobago is not being marketed properly.
Well, I did not get the specific words of the Prime Minister. What I can say though, one of the ways we can look at exploring this, our stakeholders, let's say for example, as far as I see beneficial immediately, if we have a Rex resort in Tobago, our stakeholders have to get on board. Reach out to a Rex resort, let's say if there's one in Anguilla, and see how you can form that partnership in terms of Rex in Tobago, reaching out to Rex in Anguilla, wherever. I'm just saying, to see how we can get persons to come. But as I mentioned, it is not that easy. Some of these islands, our source markets are not the same. Our source markets are Germany, the UK. Anguilla and some of these countries, based on research that we have been doing, their source markets are different and they are looking for a different product offering. So it's very easy for persons to say, now is Tobago's time to capitalize. And as a matter of fact, I think we need to be very sensitive. This is a sensitive issue. I also mentioned, due to climate change, we are also at the mercy of a hurricane anytime. And so we should not use that opportunity to say, yes, this is what we are doing, to try to fill a void. Because even if you improve your marketing efforts, you would not see any benefits until next year. So that there is nothing that can be done immediately. As I said, the research needs to be done, but Tobago remains open for business.
In the past, we have always been given a budget for the Jazz Festival. Mm-hmm. Was there any focus on, for instance, a particular event and the cost for that event and the income or the profit would have been generating from a particular event to at least cover back that particular event? What
the committee did indicate to us is that it was difficult to get data, very difficult to get data, and so that may be one of the things that they would not have been able to provide information on in terms of measuring what you spent in terms of comparing it with what you got back at a particular event.
And was there any focus overall on the jazz festival being profitable, as opposed to just the THA facilitating this event so that other stakeholders may derive benefit?
Profitable festival tourism events are not done for profit. Right? They are not done for profit. However, as I said, the recommendation from the committee is to form a partnership model with stakeholders and business entities so that even some of the fringe events that would lead up to the Tobago Jazz Experience, the stakeholders would be able to cover that. And the Tobago House of Assembly would focus, let's say, on one weekend or 2 weekends based on the proposed model going forward.
The changes, some of the changes you mentioned, to me sounds like cause for a major overhaul in the structure of the Jazz Festival. Moving the management from Division of Tourism to the Festivals Commission is a major change. How realistic might be some of these changes for the Jazz Festival in 2018?
Very realistic, and I think that's one of the reasons why the committee submitted a preliminary report, so that we had a discussion at the Executive Council level based on the recommendations put forward. And so the intention is that immediately we would move to implement some of these recommendations, having the Festivals Commission properly staffed, having a festival director appointed, so that the process starts immediately. Probably taking a note to Executive Council to get initial funding approved, because one of the things I envision and the committee would have put forward is if we are to benefit from this jazz experience, then we should have at least one headline act out by November, December. That's the booking period. A lot of persons book around that time for April. If we cross that period, probably into January, then we are only looking for domestic and local persons. So I think it is very realistic. We just need to move swiftly on that.
Can you briefly tell me what the marketing strategy entails? Marketing Tobago internationally, what does that strategy entail?
Presently, what we have a company that does our marketing online, in terms of online marketing in our major source markets. We also have promotional analysts, promotional representatives in each of these source markets, Canada, the UK. And so they have key performance indicators that they operate by. And that's basically what we focus on immediately. I know we can do more in terms of getting Tobago out there, and the intention is to do more. However, we have to operate within the constraints of the budget that we are given, and so that's why presently we are engaged in a planning process to ensure that we prioritize and we place the funding where it is needed most.
In the marketing of Tobago abroad, do you yourself, I know you would have gone to different countries a couple of times since becoming secretary, but do you go in as an individual and say, hey, come to Tobago, this is what we have to offer, as opposed to somebody selling Tobago, somebody who probably doesn't really know Tobago saying, come to Tobago? Do you yourself as secretary go and say, come to Tobago?
Well, I mean, on many occasions, because even outside of going, attending some of these missions in my capacity as secretary, as an individual, I mean, I traveled just over the weekend, and I have a suitcase that was gifted to me, and it says I love Tobago, and it did pique the interest of a number of persons, just the look of the suitcase. And I was engaged by a few persons who asked about Tobago. Where is Tobago? How do we get to Tobago? And so I think it's just a matter of getting the information out in our source markets, because I want us to understand that we cannot be everywhere. And so I know a number of persons would complain that they would go to the U.S. and they would see banners of other Caribbean islands, but the U.S. is not one of Tobago's source markets. We are looking to improve source markets, and we would think about adding, but in Germany and the UK, that's where a lot of our emphasis is placed.
Finally, you said you know that you all can do more. What more you all can do?
We need to, I think, as I would have made a recommendation to our marketing team, most persons are online. I think that online presence, we need to increase it. We need to improve on it based on putting ourselves out there. Everybody is online, having our websites up. As a matter of fact, outside of the Division of Tourism, we are encouraging our stakeholders to do the same. Get your properties online, because I would reiterate, the Division of Tourism, we may have responsibility for bringing persons to the destination. We don't have responsibility to tell persons which hotel to go to, which property to go to. And then you have a number of persons come and they go to Castara. A number of persons come and they may go to Tropicus Beach Hotel. And that's because these properties are doing their individual marketing of their own property. So the onus is on us to get persons to the destination, yes, but properties also have to do their part, get online and reach out to persons.
Could you explain how there is still a problem with the contract process with the vendors in terms of
Jazz Festival?
Yeah, because you said that they have to resubmit over and over to correct whatever discrepancies you have in terms of getting them paid. And the second question is, how are you sourcing the director of festivals?
Let's say some of the artists, for example, our local artists, they would have been engaged, but without a contract. The contracts would have been for the international artists. And so it's just a gap, something that may have been overlooked, maybe because of time limits. You had to engage persons to say, I want you to come and perform at the Jazz Festival. And then because I'm excited, I'm going to be on a jazz stage, I take the opportunity. But even the artists themselves, they have to ensure that they cover their backs also, because I am not going to allow you to engage me unless we sign a contract. So that at the end of the day, if you say to me, you are going to pay me within 2 months, if that doesn't happen, then you are liable. Right? In terms of the second question, what was it? Appointment of
Festivals director.
For the Festivals Commission. That has not been decided. I said it's just a recommendation by the task force, but we have not decided yet how we are going to go about recruiting that person.
What is the formula that the Assembly is using to set up a Festivals Commission? Because remember, we're talking about an organization that has existed. They've been working. And of course, since you have come in, you have fine-tuned, so to speak. I want to get an idea as to what the structure of that organization should look like, notwithstanding the recommendation from your task force. I want to get a clear picture there as to what that should look like when it's properly organized, because they're up and running already.
When I came into the division, I looked at a number of documents. The Executive Council note that approved the setup of the Festival Commission being one. And one of the things I realized from the onset that the commission has never been properly staffed. And so you have a number of existing positions and they have remained vacant. And so the intention is, because under my watch, I do not want an entity that fails. I propose to take to the Executive Council, of course, for approval, to have us in the short term, especially for the execution of these festivals, have persons with the necessary skills, with the requisite skills, seconded from within the Assembly to the Commission for the execution of Jazz Festival. And we also have to remember it's not just Jazz Festival. The Heritage Festival and Carnival also. And so that from that pool of persons in going forward, then we would finally determine what the structure would be. I can say from the onset, we are not going to rush and populate the Festivals Commission with a number of staff. We need to put persons probably, I don't know if the word probation is the right word, but have persons there on a short-term basis, see how they are functioning, and then we move to a final structure.
Thank you for staying with us for the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending September 23rd, 2017.